Back again with the part two. Now, just imagine how that not the SEC championship, the playoff is going to look with any one of those teams being in there like that. Can y'all imagine that? Not can you imagine it? You already know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, it's going to be an issue. Y'all really going to have a problem. Y'all really going to start hating. The salt really going to flow if that was to be the case. That any of those four SEC teams or any four SEC teams, top four SEC teams, make it into the playoff. Never mind the Big 12, the ACC, the Pac-12, and the Big 10. Like, that whole situation is going to be crazy. Then, the national championship. This past national championship that went down this Monday. I didn't expect Georgia to literally dog walk TCU. Yes, Georgia has played TCU and has beaten them before. This was years ago under Mark Richt. And that national championship game, I'm still thinking it's 35-7. If they come out and score 2 touchdowns in the third quarter, it's 35-21. We got a game. If Georgia doesn't score at least another touchdown and make it 42-21, it's still an issue because I've seen Max in at least 2 games, the Kansas State game and I want to say the Oklahoma game or one other game where the special teams rushed onto the field and kicked the field goal with no time left and won that game. I still seen TCU as a threat, regardless of what they did to Michigan. I still seen them as one of those teams you cannot sleep on. But the way Georgia did them, that was unfucking believable. I couldn't get as excited as I did when I seen Georgia play Alabama because that game was so close. When Georgia played Ohio State last Saturday, I really didn't even get mad. I was like, if Georgia lose, I can understand why. Ohio State has more of a deep threat option than Tennessee does. And CJ Stroud, to me, and from what other people were saying, is more mobile than Hendon Hooker. So I was looking at it as if Georgia loses, cool. I ain't even gonna be mad about it. I wouldn't even be upset because I can understand Georgia taking a loss. But when the kicker missed the field goal, and I had already seen TCU had won, I'm like, oh hell, Georgia in for another fight with TCU. It's gonna be a problem. But by halftime, it's 35-7. And then I think they scored 2 to 3 more touchdowns in the third quarter and scored 2 to 3 more touchdowns in the fourth. I'm like, at that time, they should have already put in Carson Beck in the third quarter. At least, like, in the middle of the third quarter, they should have put him in and just let him run it from there. But to a degree, I can understand why Kirby Smart didn't go that route. Let the players play it out until the fourth quarter. I mean, you're up by that point. I want to say damn near 60 something, at least 50 in the 50s by that point. So when you brought pretty much the whole second string in, which is like other freshmen and sophomores and juniors who really didn't get a chance to play throughout the season, when they got a chance to get in, I think Carson Beck threw for 2 more touchdowns. A lot of people that I've heard, I'm not going to say a lot because I don't listen to a lot. Out of the people that I heard, Kangaroo Black, Uncle Lou are 2 at the moment that I can think of. I can't really remember anybody else. Looked at Georgia's schedule for next year. Yes, it started off as a cupcake. I think it's Ball State and UT Martin. I'm not sure. But I know Ball State is one of them. Yes, it's going to start off soft. And to a degree, that works for us because Carson Beck is going to need them 2 cupcake games to get right. After that, I think we got South Carolina, then Auburn. In a sense, that still works out. But if Carson Beck, I'm not even saying he's gonna do anything like Stetson Bennett. I'm not even gonna put him on that in that realm to be like, yeah, he's gonna do this, that, and the third. Like Uncle Lou said, we haven't seen him do anything. From the Vanderbilt game, I seriously doubt that was enough to say, yeah, he's gonna take over. And I'm not even gonna say fill Stetson Bennett's shoes. Stetson Bennett is grandfathered in, you can say, into being one of the baddest Georgia Bulldog quarterbacks. One of the baddest. I didn't say the baddest. One of the baddest Georgia quarterbacks that has gotten a chance to get back-to-back nationals. Even though DJ Shockley should have got one, Matt Stafford should have got one, even Aaron Murray should have got one. If Justin Fields would have stayed, we would have probably had one with him. Just those four names, Georgia would have 4 national championships. On top of these 2, it would be 6. So Georgia, in a sense, would be tied with Alabama for 6 national championships in this, I'm not going to say this decade, but in this century, you could say. So, I mean, Georgia has always been a problem. BA from Dog Nation was like, Georgia fans got to get ready to take the smack talking and so on and so forth from other fan bases. Georgia fans been dealing with that. Because even under Mark Richt, there were people that didn't like Georgia, like, oh man, Georgia sucked, they garbage, they can't win the big games. And a lot of that was true. But now we actually made it over that hump, not once, but twice. And next year, I actually plan on seeing Alabama in the SEC championship. And then I plan on seeing them, not I plan on it, but let me rephrase it like this. I expect to see Alabama in the SEC championship next year. I expect that game to be tight. I also expect for it to be, like I've said in previous videos, Alabama beat Georgia, Alabama beat Georgia for the SEC championship. Georgia comes back to then beat Alabama for the national. Or by some miracle, Georgia beats Alabama in the SEC championship, then they turn around and beat them again for the national title. To me, from what I understand, that would be something that very few teams have done, especially within the BCS CFP era. Georgia would have made history not once, but twice. Once by going back-to-back in the CFP era, and 2 by beating Alabama not once, but twice, and also for a national championship. And to a degree, Alabama can't even say that. And I'm not even going to talk trash to the real Alabama fans such as Kangaroo Black. I would be talking trash to the delusional Alabama fans that's going to be making up all types of excuses as to how and why Georgia pulled off something for the second time. Oh, Kirby Smart was made under Nick Saban. That may be the truth. But what happened in a previous video that I spoke on, Mel Tucker also came from that same tree. Pittman came from that same tree. Pruitt came from that same tree. The guy at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, came from that same tree. Why are they not doing the same thing? And Pittman's in Arkansas, so I'm not even going to count him per se because he's dealing with a program that really wasn't hitting on them. It was like, what, 2-10 or something like that, or 4-8 or something like that when he took over at Arkansas, and now he's winning a decent amount of games, making Arkansas relevant. And then Lane Kiffin bounced around from school to school to school, and now he's making Ole Miss look okay. So, I mean, what do y'all expect to happen? Now, just imagine a playoff scenario with all of Nick Saban's former assistants being in the playoffs. Michigan State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, and Georgia, along with Alabama. Like, you know how crazy that would be? And then on top of that, not even from the same coaching tree, just imagine if Colorado makes it into the playoffs. I give them 2 to 3 years, like 26, 20, 25, 26, they make it into the 12-team playoff. Some of y'all gonna remember this. Some of y'all might not even come to this video until like years later. But just imagine if Deion Sanders at Colorado State and they become a decent team and they make it into the 12-team playoff. I'm not even saying that they play Alabama. I'm just saying that they make it. Like, you know how crazy that would be? I told y'all this is opinion/rant video. I'm gonna be all over the damn place. That shit would blow my fucking mind. Like, I'm just to imagine after Nick Saban was talking shit in a sense about Deion being at Jackson State and getting I think his name is Trevor from the #1 wide receiver recruit and get him to come to Jackson State. Now I think he's at Colorado, and his son, both his sons are at Colorado, and probably a couple other players from Jackson State are at Colorado. Even though they don't have the money to pay the man, they said they gonna find it and they gonna get it to him. I mean, what the fuck? I would like to see Deion at least in the first year of the 12-team playoff. I would like to see that. Even if he don't play Nick Saban, because you know how big of a media take that would be to watch that game. They're gonna bring up this situation that I just mentioned from this past season into that season if it happens, at least within the next 2 years. I give it excuse me, I'm cold, I'm messing up. Within the next 3 seasons, that might happen. Nobody is prepared for this 12-team playoff, but everybody want it. Teams that snuck in the 14 playoff, you don't have to sneak in once the 12-team playoffs start. All you got to do is win out. And I don't even mean go undefeated. At least get 11 wins, more than likely you're in. And then people say the committee got it wrong for TCU to get in. Who the fuck else was going to be in there? Tennessee couldn't get in, 2 losses, plus got blown out. Alabama couldn't get in, 2 losses. LSU couldn't get in, 3 losses. Michigan and Ohio got in. Who else out of their conference was going to get in? Oregon took, 2-3 losses? They were out. Utah, 2-3 losses? They're out. USC, 2-3 losses? They're out. Texas, Oklahoma, 2 losses apiece, maybe 3 to Texas? They're out. Texas Tech, Baylor. Apparently they didn't have enough wins. They're out. So who the fuck else was going to be in there besides TCU, who lost in the conference championship and put up a good fucking fight to get there? You seen what happened to Kansas State when they played Alabama, 45 to something. What did y'all really think was going to happen if they would have played Michigan or Georgia or even Ohio State? Like those 3 teams I just named, Michigan, Ohio State, and Georgia, Kansas State would not have beaten either one of those 3 teams regardless of how it was shaped up. Some people wanted Michigan to play Georgia again for the get back from last year. Y'all couldn't even get past TCU. You see what Georgia did to TCU, which was fucking embarrassing. Like, this was just Georgia's year. Possibly it could be a 3-peat, which means, okay, like I said earlier, Georgia plays Alabama in the SEC championship, beat them, and they both make it to the playoff. Georgia plays Alabama again for the national championship and beat them again. They would have made history 3 times. A 3-peat on top of making history 3 times. Dude, I wouldn't know what the fuck to do or what to say. And I'm saying dude because I'm talking to mainly guys. I know there are some females that check my channel out, or I think they're females. I know one of them is a female, it's in her name. But I mean, like, what the fuck? That shit would be fucking amazing. Like, nobody can say that. Georgia can go a whole nother 40 years without winning another national, which I don't want to happen. I hope they do win at least 5 more. So that means we have 7 within this current these past 2 decades, and Alabama only got 6. So that means Kirby Smart one-ups Nick Saban, which is awesome in my opinion. But to stay on topic and on track, Georgia makes history for the 3 times in 2 years. Well, 3 times in 3 years, because it made the championship in 21, made history for Georgia. Second year, which is this year, 2022, 2023, the most lopsided victory in BCS CFP history. Then to beat Alabama not once but twice, and then make a three-peat that not even Nick Saban has been able to do. Am I saying it's gonna happen? No, I'm not. I'm not sitting up here speaking that into existence. What I am saying is it would be awesome if it was to happen. But I do want to speak into existence that Georgia does three-peat, which would be fucking awesome. And I'm hyped about that right now. Like I should have been hyped about the Georgia TCU game, which was a complete slaughter. Some folks said it should have been rated R for adult, mature, damn situations, or is that PG-13? Whichever the fuck. That shit went down in. Cause it was fucking crazy. Like, South Carolina did Tennessee bad, but not as bad as what Georgia did to TCU. That shit was uncalled for. Georgia beat TCU like somebody told Georgia TCU was talking shit. And TCU ain't say nothing. Like, I kind of felt bad for those players that they was getting done up like that. But then again, I don't feel bad because Sonny Dykes talk shit about the SEC being soft. How the fuck is 65 points soft? How is 45 points to y'all conference champions soft? Hell, Tennessee even knocked off Clemson. I think LSU won their game too. That's 4 of the baddest SEC teams this past year winning all their games. And I think Ole Miss or Mississippi State won. That would make 5. I think Kentucky lost. I think not Mississippi State, but Ole Miss lost. I think Arkansas lost. And I know Florida lost. So I think the SEC finished like, they had 11 teams in, maybe 7-4, 5-6, 6-5. No other conference had 11 fucking teams in the bowl season this year. But the SEC is soft. They got a soft schedule. No team can pick who they play outside of hollering at one of the other teams from another conference to play them so many years down the line. The schedule's pretty much already made up, and I didn't realize that until maybe 2017, 2018. Like I said, I didn't realize it. I didn't say I didn't know. I didn't realize it. So, for people who watch this video and the previous one that I made before this, y'all just think about what I'm saying. Making comments, sharing like the video, all that other nice shit. Talk trash to me in the comments. I do my best to reply back. I do have a MeWe page up, but I can't remember how to get into it at this current point in time because I had to switch up my phone and it's giving me hell how to get back in. But anyway, we talk trash over there. We discuss college football on both my pages. But other than that, y'all have a good one. This is DSA 1. I'm out.